Welcome, everyone. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces, as well as those of you joining us maybe for the first time. So my name is Joji Vogt, and together we will explore how to create a welcoming and inclusive environment in collective singing. With the help of our three great speakers, we will look at the different ways their organizations are making spaces safe and more supportive for all participants. I'm pleased to welcome among us Henrike Schauerte from Deutsche Chorjugend, Minnakaisa, Kuivalainen, Executive Director of Tampere Music Festivals from Finland, and Sophie Dowden, Project Consultant of the European Choral Association. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. And before we really dive into the topic, I would just like to mention that, as usually, we are recording and streaming the webinar on Facebook. And I would like to ask everyone who doesn't want their face to be seen just to turn off their camera. And please all be muted during presentations. And about questions, time for questions, it will be at the very end of all three presentations. In Zoom, you just please raise your hand and ask your questions. You will be also able to type your questions in chat, and in the Facebook stream, you can also share your questions with us in the comments, and those will be passed to us in the Zoom. And maybe one last thing that I would like to mention, and that is that this webinar is part of the IGNITE project, the project of the European Choral Association that is co-funded by the European Union. And we decided to dedicate quite some time also to the projects and topic of the inclusion. We will hear more about IGNITE project in our last presentation today. So I guess this is all about the practicalities, and I guess we now can finally dedicate this hour to the topic, safer spaces in collective singing. And I'm pleased to give the floor first to the Henrike Schauerte from Deutsche Chorjugend. She's a very active young lady, and also the organizations runs a lot of projects, and Henrike will present the project Creating Children's Choirs as Safe Spaces. We know, Henrike, right, that the children are especially vulnerable and they need an environment that supports them, that support their growth, creativity, well-being, and above all, they need safe spaces in all aspects. I'm really interested, Henrike, how you are creating children choirs as safe spaces in Deutsche Chorjugend. And before I give you the floor to you, I will just stop sharing my screen, and now you can start with your presentation. Hello, Henrike.
Thank you, Joji. I will quickly share my presentation with you before yes, and then also get to see you here on my screen. So hello, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to this webinar. I'm Henrike Schauerte. I'm from the German Youth Choir Federation and responsible for the project Creating Children Choirs as Safe Spaces. Before I start, I would just give a little content advice. The presentation deals around the topics of emotional, physical, and sexual assault. And always feel free to just tune out in case you don't feel comfortable with any kind of topic that is addressed here. It's not going to be very specific, but please, yeah, take care of yourself here. Creating Children Choirs as Safe Spaces. This is a project we've been running since 2021, and we've been developing 4 choirs from within our association. And before getting to concrete measures, I would like to have a look with you together on numbers and statistics, because 13% of girls and 6% of boys in Europe have experienced sexual assault. 1 of 4 children have experienced physical assault, and approximately every 3rd child has experienced emotional assault. And hearing these numbers, it's already quite frightening. But then also, we have to consider that 90% of cases of child abuse, which means 9 out of 10 cases, are not being recognized, since often it's very hidden, or sometimes also we as adults reflecting our childhood, we understand, or reflecting situations that we have experienced, even though to children, and then realizing, okay, there was someone crossing a boundary or keeping on crossing boundaries, and which might lead to any kind of assault. And also different forms of violence are often connected, so that many children experience several different kind of violences and do have to make those experiences. What do we do? So generally in Germany, we are requested, as organizations, we are requested to come up with individual institutionalized child welfare concepts as a preventive measure and a benefit for choirs also, because they protect on different levels. And this is super important to me when I work with choirs on their individual concepts. It's important to understand that it's not only, we're not only, but do talk about sexual abuse, but also emotional abuse and peer-to-peer violence. And to me, I realized within the time that I've been working on the topic that choirs are also being very sensitive spaces, because we have the conductor, we have the children, and of course no one wants to be excluded. And there is always the fear, if I don't do on stage, or if I don't do a movement or something that the conductor expects from me, will I be excluded, or what's going to be a consequence? Will I be able to join the show, however? So reflecting on that, to me, choirs are being sensitive, but also like very very important places where it's possible for children to make very to make basic experiences of being able to participate and to grow within singing, and to develop their self-consciousness within singing. But also we need to create the choirs as safe spaces to ensure that these benefits are being able to develop. The concepts protect often also volunteer employees by giving them clarity in their dealings with children and young people, and they can also prevent false accusation. So this is also an important part for choirs to know, okay, if we take specific measures, we know that also we are being safe in terms of what is okay, what's not okay, what is the consent here in our choir. Also, they protect associations by providing clear courses of action that enable associations to react quickly and competently, both internally and externally, in the event of suspicion. So it's a protection concept creates the basis for good cooperation, in which the choir establishes, for example, clear rules of conduct for everyone involved. And these rules support the choir in dealing with intentional or unintentional, for example, discrimination, emotional and sexualized boundary violations, and they create a space for children in which they can develop, learn, and grow. What do we do in this project? Is one thing is to come up with the concepts, which we do very individual with member associations and choirs. But also we, through social media campaigns, we sensitize our network in the issue of child welfare. We offer workshops for all those involved in the choral community of a choir. We encourage conductors to use more participatory methods during their rehearsals to ensure that that powers are being like somehow divided as equal as possible. We provide information material and work aids for choirs to work on their own child welfare concept, and we support the choirs by working with them in place. Also, we offer telephone advice on child protection in children's choirs. So whenever there's a concern and the choir does not know who to address because they don't have a children welfare concept yet, we help out and do our best to guide them to the right persons who can actually support and help. So I know there are some of you here who have heard me already talking about the topic, and I decided, because as we're talking about choirs as safe spaces here in this webinar, to really show a few of the concrete measures and to get a little bit more into detail. And for the work with the choirs and for the choirs themselves who decide to start their journey and coming up with such a child welfare concept, I have come up now with this graphic that shows different steps, which are measures that can be implemented one after another, but also they can go along and you can just decide on what do you feel also has the most input on your community and will immediately have an effect on your life with your choir. Step one is create a mission statement. A mission statement is something where you write down the attitude, principles, values, and goals of the choir. And it's important also to place a statement about child welfare, so that everyone who's like thinking of joining your choir community has an idea. Okay, there's a community that has values and also takes actions after their values, and have formulated it for everyone to see and to be displayed, for example, on the website or in any kind of information material that you find about your choir. In step two, we introduce, it's important to take responsibility as, for example, the board of a choir, to take responsibility for all the persons who are kind of employed with you or work for you, either voluntary or also on a honorary basis. And it's important, before they start working with the choir and being part of the choral community, getting to be part of the choral community, to be introduced into the measures that your choir has come up with, which, for example, can be a declaration of commitment or to sign the code of conduct that you've come up with. And the code of conduct brings me already to the next measure, which is, to me, somehow like a heart piece, which stands a little bit in the middle of every child welfare concept to me, because there, when you come together with a group and you create a code of conduct, it's a lot of it you can find already in the mission statement, but here you go more into detail. So you say, this is okay to do for us, this is not okay. And we commit to, for example, provide certain persons who take care of the children, additionally to the conductor, for example. And also for everyone involved to know what exactly is okay to do and what not. So it's somehow like a guideline for everyone involved to know which actions to take in which situation. And but also it's important to talk about a code of conduct, or like some kind of rules of conduct for the children within their group. So there's two different moments. We talk about the behavior from adults towards children, but also the children amongst themselves is super important to for them to define how they want to be treated and how they want to treat themselves along themselves. Then there is training courses. So it's important for everyone to know about prevention, to know about the topic around prevention, and to be offered training courses. There's some online, at least in Germany, I know about some, and I'm sure if you do some research, there's also free activities somewhere around your country. Then another very important step is, I've been talking about the power distribution within a group already, and naturally we as adults, we have more power. We are more in charge of decisions, and so it's important to let children participate in whatever decision affects them, and whichever way possible, either artistically or also in the organization part. Then to encourage children, to empower children towards their rights, to learn to say, no, I don't want this, I don't feel comfortable here or there, it's also a super important step, and where we try to come up also with some kind of materials to support here. As time is running, I'm also starting to run a little. I hope you can still follow. Another part is to set up a complaint system. So there's different communication channels that you can set up, from like a QR code when you work with all the young persons who are already using electrical devices, so that they can anonymously write an email or something. And another thing is an intervention plan, which is very important, where you define what do you have to do, what's my responsibility, but also what's the responsibility of other people. And so there you find concrete actions, and then we already come back to the second step, introducing measures. This is super important for everyone to know in case of something is happening, to be able to get back and to know what to do. And you don't have to do all this alone. You can look for a cooperation specialist center, which you might find also nearby, so that you know whom to address before an incident. That was very quick. This is an example for the different measures. The empowerment step, we came up with a poster for children. You can talk to children about looking at this poster. For example, my body belongs to me, and I always can decide which movements I like to do, whether I want to be touched or not. And I'm always allowed to say no, for example. Then there's a poster to come up with a code of conduct together, and to set up rules and immediately write them down, put them on the wall of your rehearsal room, and always can refer to it. And also there's this poster where you can put down the number of a contact person in case there is any kind of complaint or incident that you need to report. So this was a very quick run through measures that you can do to create children crisis safe spaces. I'm very happy to share all my experiences and knowledge in this field. And if you have more questions, if you like to have, very soon you will find on our website also the English translation of the work aid with the 9 steps of the measures. So feel free to contact me and to stay in touch about the topic. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Henrike. Thank you for sharing with us this approach of your association, concrete measures. I think, yes, that we are all inspired about this project and can think what is happening in this field in our national, regional, local organizations, and what can we do more. For sure, the discussion will develop later. And now we are traveling to Finland, where we will talk to Minnakaisa Kuivalainen. Hello, Minnakaisa. I would just like to ask you to turn on your camera and the microphone so that we can see you and hear about experiences in the... Hello. Yeah, we would like to ask you to share with us actions of social and environmental responsibility and how they are presented in Tampere Music Festival. I know you titled your presentation how you went from words to actions, and we are really interested in that.
Very good. Thank you for having me. And I'm just checking that, do you see my information?
Yes,
well? Very good.
Very well.
I noticed that my materials are now a little bit tricky here. They are not in the position which I was thinking to, but I see. So thank you for having me. And I want to send you all my warmest greetings from Tampere, Finland. We are having a very colorful autumn time here. And so I'm telling you about some actions about social responsibility in our festival and how we have communicated about them. So let's see. So Tampere Vocal Music Festival has been founded in 1975 by the city of Tampere, and the city is located 2 hours up north from Helsinki in Finland by train or car. And the festival is every 2nd June. And it's 5 days long festival. Normally we have around 50 choirs, 55 and 50 vocal ensembles. And the program you can see it's open for everybody to choral review, either contest for vocal ensembles. We have concerts, workshops, and choral market. And next year we will have our 50th anniversary. And the next year's artistic director is Merte Rajala. So, and here's a little clip from our website. So by the website, you will find the responsibility page, how we have combined all the actions, what are we promised to do. And here a little photo from our visualization of the festival, which have been done last year by AI program by our web designer, Sometek. Everything is founded by the strategy, of course, and it comes from the UN and by the city, and then how it have been implemented for the festival's use. We are involved with several networks which are promoting responsibility, and one of them is We Speak Gay community, which has been founded in Finland, Helsinki. And we want to tell to everybody how we want to be respect and equally to everybody regarding gender, race, age, nationality, religion, culture, or sexual orientation. We are a member of the network Puhtaasti, which is for the copyrights and choirs, how to remain very well about all the issues about the copyrights with choirs. And then, of course, we are a member of Choose Responsibility, how we are telling about this membership, what kind of actions we have been decided to do. And Kaikukortti is a Finnish phenomenon about to offer a possibility for cultural events for free with this card for people who have difficulties with financial circumstances. And here's a website page from our festival website, and there you can see, sorry, change? No. So it changed very well. It tells about what have been decided to do and what kind of guidelines we have. As it was mentioned here, that we have guidelines for reporting and intervening in inappropriate conduct with safer space rules, and then, of course, with the safe event principles, how we communicate about these, and then we want to provide clear information about accessibility to our events. Some of the events are always free of charge. And as I mentioned earlier on, also with this Kaikukortti card, it's possible to get free tickets for concerts which are not free for everybody normally. Thanks to Corona years, we need to be always current about recommendations for health and safety guidelines. And earplugs are also available, especially for nightclub concerts, which are occasionally might be hard for some of the audience members. We are offering job training positions for students and also people who have problems with Finnish language. And we hire long-term unemployed people for the office work. And of course, we participate in sustainable development projects in the music sector. And later on, I'll shortly present you in Finland the project which is called Alma Live. And when these all actions are written down, they remind us, audience, artists, our volunteer workers, what we have promised to do. And we all as a community, we are developing this, and everybody are checking out, are we really doing this? So these words really will come as an action, and they are important to write down. Here are also some of the actions of environmental responsibility, and you will find all these by our website. And here are presented our rules of the safer event and my contact information when I have been named as a harassment contact person. And these are presented in different channels of communication, naturally by the website and social media channels and festival venues, which has been interesting that we have had some problems to add on the walls of churches these rules, but in club venues and concert halls, it has been easier to present them. We are telling about these in our program book, and of course for the infos for the festival workers. And in the future, we want to have this presented more carefully also for invited guests when we are inviting them, the artists, how they are aware of these rules of action, and collaboration companies. We all in festivals, we have a different collaboration, technical partners and such, and catering companies, and so that everybody would be aware what have been decided to do. Here are some examples of accessibility, how we are presenting them on concert venues on our website, and you will find them truly info page of the festival. And when you scroll there, there are venues and accessibility mentioned. And I have to say that it's quite a work to be done by our PR manager, who has connected all this information together. And it's her idea, Katarina Pasuri, who has created these pages of responsibility, that it's important to speak out, present, not only in the office, how we can create and develop and get this everything deeper in a meaning sense. In the last program, we had, for example, some panel discussions. Kari Turunen was the artistic director of the festival in 2023. And he chose for panel discussions on subjects gender diversity in choirs, and also this increasingly multicultural choirs subject. And what was nice to have before the festival, to have blog texts about these subjects by the chairpersons or people who are involved for the panel discussions. And later on, our peer manager, Katarina, wrapped down what was spoken on the panel discussion and presented them on texts on our website. Visual communication is part of our job, of course, not only verbal, and how we are presenting on our visual communication diversity. That's important to follow up all the time. One example is this, for example, these little designs, photos, or designs by our AI programmation. And we asked our web designer to have their little detail, not only white-headed singers, but to increase the more multicultural ideas probably for these imaginary persons as well. Photo banks are used a lot by cities, for example, and it's important that diversity is there involved as well, and how we are presenting more materials for these photo banks with diversity ideas too. Sorry for the little technical issues. No. Find the next. Sorry.
No. Maybe you can try this way, yes.
Very good. Do you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it now, yes.
Okay, yes. So next thing what we want to do is to have plain language more on the website. And it means that it's easy to read, whether you don't speak English or Finnish, which are our normal languages on the websites. And it's also for everybody, not only what is your mother tongue, but also if you have difficulties to understand the rhythm. And also if you are first becomer, so very easily within different music genres, you are speaking the language which is dedicated for people who have done it for years and years. We are using the words which are specific and easy to understand only by the people who have done it for years. So it's a kind of guide for festival beginners in plain language, which is not open for everybody. And this is a question which is coming the plain language for cities, for different festival organizers. And it's a subject which is very interesting to think more and more. And we will do it with service design together with an expert by expertise. And here is an example on the website to Elma Live, which I strongly suggest to check it out. It's just done a big project in Finland with music professionals, and it's offering different learning materials and subjects to check it out, and also with environmental issues, but as well with social accessibility and social responsibility as well. So if you have any questions, I'm very happy to tell you more. And our peer manager, Katarina Pasur, is always ready for your help. So thank you.
Thank you, Minnakaisa. Thank you, yes, also for sharing your experiences in this field with us. I guess we all find ourselves at some point in our lives as event organizers, and it is nice to reflect if we can do something more also in our organizations in this field, and also in our communication approaches. Thank you. I guess we will have such questions at the very end. And now from Germany and from Finnish example, I would like to give the word to Sophie Dowden, my dear colleague, that is an expert on inclusion in our association. And please, Sophie, share with us what we as International Choral Association are doing in this field, what are our actions and our steps.
Thank you, Yaji, and hello everyone, both everyone here today and who is listening to it later. I am just going to open the presentation. There we go. So when I started putting together this presentation, I was actually in some ways overwhelmed by the amount of initiatives that the European Choral Association has been doing for many years now. This is now a very long presentation that I am not going to go through in a lot of detail, you will be relieved to hear. And in any case, anyone who will be at the membership weekend in about a month's time, you'll be hearing some of this again. So I won't bore you twice. If anyone is not able to see this presentation, or if you are simply not looking at it because you are listening to this like a podcast later, then I will say that most of the information in these slides is actually on the European Choral Association website anyway, mostly under activities and resources. So anything I'm talking about, you will be able to find there, no problem at all. Just to give you an outline of all of the different kinds of things that the European Choral Association has been doing in the frame of inclusion, we are talking about a number of different EU-funded projects, including the one that this webinar right now is taking place in the frame of, Ignite. I will speak a bit more about that in a second. Workshops and webinars like this one. Financial support schemes, regional developments, where I'm going to make Yoshi talk for a second, even though I haven't told her that yet. The policies and codes working group, that you will know. Now she knows. The policies and codes working group, which I will say a few words about, and the youth committee gender think tank, which was also an initiative of the current youth committee, which is now coming to an end. And lastly, I also wanted to mention Hearts in Harmony. I will start with the EU project. So this is Ignite that you are in right now, which is the network funding project of the European Choral Association, co-funded by the European Union. And you will see in the description of it here, Ignite aims to contribute to the European Green Deal, but then to increase diversity, inclusion, and equity in the sector, strengthen the network, increase its representativeness, talks about empowering and training people, and also about being actively internationally. And in this sense, it's beyond Europe as well, like making connections beyond Europe. It contains lots and lots of activities, lots of different elements, many of which relate to inclusion. If we're talking about youth participation, the opportunities of peer-to-peer exchange, the regional strategy of Yoshi's, the online trainings, inclusion, which is again this, and gender equality, other things, and yep, creating guidelines and handbooks on these topics. Grants for inclusivity of events, among other things. Again, I'll say more about that in a second. Building on the benefits of singing campaign, which is originally from 2021. I would also include this in the inclusion framework, because this is the campaign that talks about the physical, psychological, social, and educational benefits of singing. You should all be able to state those 4 benefits by now. We have been talking about them for years. And this is something that everyone should be able to benefit from, regardless of their characteristics or their background. So I include that in the inclusion part. Also, yet raising awareness for the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I will talk about those again in a second, because we had a project actually specifically related to that. And yeah, I mean, essentially all through this project, you will find elements of inclusion. Then there are cooperation projects. So there is the SWAN project. SWAN stands for Singing with Additional Needs. You will see at the bottom of the slide there that there is a website, swanproject.eu. If you go to that website, you'll find out all about it. But essentially, we have lots of different best practices that we're gathering in different ways or developing, which are about including people with additional needs in collective singing. And that might be due to disability or due to physical or psychological health issues. There is more details on that, but essentially we're doing events and creating resources. These are the partners. Norsk Sanger Forum is the coordinator of this project, in fact. So Kjetil is my boss for this one. I am the project manager, and the European Choral Association, you will see in the middle of the partners there, along with Kanker in Belt and Sing Ireland, and Fenjaco, who has just joined us. So big welcome to Marco and co. And also it's in cooperation with the Turkish Choral Culture Association, particularly in relation to the earthquake that happened in Turkey and Syria a while ago now. Another project, again, I'm going to include this in inclusion, is Choral Ties. This is one where the European Choral Association is the coordinator. And this one is about cross-border training on international and European level for professionals in the field of collective singing. Now, I want to include that in inclusion because I think that there is this term you may have heard, Fortress Europe. And these are walls that we need to break down. We should not be excluding people because they are from outside of Europe. So this is a project working on breaking down those barriers, making more connections between Europe and the international. Again, there is more information on that, both on these slides and on the website. The website for this one, choralties.eu. I invite you to visit it. Yeah, resources, tools, you can check that out in more detail. I don't have a lot of time right now. Other partners in the project are the Estonian Choral Association, the Croatian Cultural Association, and Karis Filag. And also this one is in cooperation with IFCM, the International Federation of Choral Music. Now, this one really is on inclusion. This one is my baby. This project is now finished. It was the Shift project under Erasmus+. The European Choral Association was responsible for the inclusion output on that. And that included, I keep saying like inclusion things that included things. You're going to get very sick of this. I'm sorry, it's going to keep happening. It included the inclusion handbook, which has summaries in different languages, which are very useful because the handbook is quite long. But the handbook is, I think I put that on the next slide, in fact, yeah, divided into different sections. So there was a section on the key concepts, then looking inside a cultural organization at its governance, at its people and policies and processes and how to make these more inclusive. Then inclusive action, which was looking kind of outside the organization in terms of projects and advocacy. Then there was a bit about making communications more inclusive and about holding inclusive events. So a lot of the things that Minnakaisa was talking about, like there are related points in the end part of this handbook. There is also an annotated bibliography. It's 100 resources, 101 resources, I think it was in the end, that deal also with all of these different topics. And if you don't like reading, there is also an interview series, which me and some of our teammates in the project carried out with some different people. And these you can find on the European Choral Association YouTube channel. There is a playlist. Another project that is actually before my time at the European Choral Association was Sing Me In. That was about the integration process of young migrants through collective singing. And there are a number of guidelines that or resources that are associated with this. I invite you still to take a look at these. These have not become less relevant over time. And Hearts in Harmony, which I clearly put at the end at the start, but I have now put here. This was there is a very useful page on the European Choral Association website with Hearts in Harmony that you can find under activities, and it has a number of resources related to including people with special needs and this in collective singing. There was a series of events, you can see them there, 2006 to 2017. But the web page for this, I really recommend looking at. There is a lot of useful information on that page. Workshops and webinars. This one also we had a workshop at the last membership weekend on how to make your events more environmentally sustainable and inclusive. And also there was a workshop of the Youth Committee Gender Diversity Think Tank. And so I will come back to that in a second. And there was also a previous webinar that we had Misha Stafford, who is an excellent conductor, come in to lead. And this was about singing with disabilities. And in this case was actually particularly, in her case, people with autism. This was a very interesting webinar. Again, go back, listen to it. It's on the European Choral Association YouTube playlist of webinars. And that is another good podcast for you. Financial support schemes. See, there's so much. Financial support schemes for international peer-to-peer training opportunities. These, again, they are a way of connecting people who might not have the funds to connect otherwise. You've got this project again, Ignite, Grants for Internationalization, which is the really hard word to say, internationalization and inclusion. So again, it's in the title for making events more international and inclusive. And of course, there is the now long-standing Noel Minnet Fund, which offers scholarships to young people under 30 with limited economic resources to attend events under the label of the European Choral Association. Regional development. That's an inclusion thing. Yoshi, would you like to say a couple of words?
Well, yes, but this was a new concept under Ignite project, and I was employed to reach out to Central Eastern and Southeastern Europe, and it was really nice to see that we got a really nice response and reach out to countries that maybe felt before this project a bit excluded due to maybe cultural differences, due to financial situation, political situation, maybe organization of choral or choir sector in the country. And so now I think we are better in this. We established nice friendships, nice collaborations, and I can say yes that this was one of the successful activities under Ignite project.
Fantastic, thank you so much, and well done for all of your hard work in making these connections. Policies and Codes Working Group. This includes two topics that are environmental sustainability and inclusion. With the inclusion part of it, we have been identifying focus areas for making the European Choral Association more diverse and inclusive. And one of the places that we looked to start taking some action was at board level, because representation, this is a position of power, and having representation in positions of power, I mean, it means that different points of view are being brought in, and better understanding of different topics. And then the question kind of arose, well, you know, what has it looked like in the past, and what do we have the data for? So again, me here, I went back into the historic board statistics, and one just little nugget of information for you is that there was a really big change around the year 2000. We have statistics really to some extent by gender and age, and before the year 2000, I think there was, if memory serves, there was one woman. Maybe twice, but the same woman. After that, it has got better, but we have also seen that the number of women on the board has actually gone down in this board based on the last board. So it was going up and now it's gone down again. So this is not a topic where we can be complacent. And so we decided to make these statistics as easily readable, accessible, visual as possible, and have been deciding to share these in the process for the election of the next board, just so that you can see what has happened. We don't need to tell you what to think, but you can see what has happened. This is an excellent initiative now of the European Chord Association Youth Committee, the gender diversity think tank, and I'm very grateful to have been involved in this as well, invited to be involved. I'm just there on the side. This is not my thing. So big thanks to the youth committee for this, to Alba and Joanna and Pelin and everyone. In this process, there were a couple of online meetings, both with representatives of cultural organizations and also young individuals in the collective singer who had a connection with this topic of gender diversity, to kind of discuss the challenges in the sector, what were the issues underlying these challenges, and what practical solutions could we come up with. So we had 2 online sessions on this. And then building on that, it came, as I said earlier, to the membership weekend in Vilnius, which was then open to all the members, and anyone who wanted to could join. And so we could, again, like, get that contributions, hear people's thoughts, dig into causes, look for solutions. And that is what happened in Vilnius last year. And if you want to read a bit more about it, there's actually an article in last year's, in the 2023 annual report of the European Choral Association on this topic as well. And that is the end, because I put Hearts in Harmony further, further to the front than I remembered. So you will see there was a lot that I went through very quickly that the European Choral Association has been doing. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. So keep involved, keep tuned.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you for your really quick run through over numerous activities of the European Choral Association in the field of inclusion. And a really big thank you also to Henrike and to Minnakaisa for contributions to this webinar and all work and energy you dedicate to this important topic. So we have explored 3 approaches, 3 different approaches: fostering inclusion, responsibility, spaces in the collective singing community. And now we can have a discussion. I'm inviting you to turn on your cameras and maybe share with us your experiences in this field, your maybe good practices from your organizations, or ask questions to our 3 presenters. Like I mentioned at the beginning, you can raise your hand here in Zoom so that we can see you and we can give you the floor, or maybe you can type your questions in the chat so that we can read them out to our presenters. So, does anyone would like to say something and join us in this discussion? Yes,
Me.
Sophie.
I have a question to Henrike. So thank you very much for your presentation. And it was really interesting seeing all these different steps to go through. I took a screenshot, so that's really useful. Thank you very much. I was wondering about if you could talk at all about this being put into practice, like a lot of choirs trying to put this into practice. Are they finding any sort of difficulties following these steps? I don't know, how is it in practice?
Yes, actually it's super interesting, and I have to say we've been this is guidelines that is institutionalized also from other organizations given, and we have transferred them to the choral field and to the interests or the needs and the specifics about choirs. And we've been we started with the whole project started 2021, which was to actually get into the topic and to get to know more about it. And then around 2 years ago, we started actually giving courses to come up with these concepts. And it is, to me, as my goal is to really support choirs and to work with them or to help them according to their resources. My experience says there is a lot of choirs who are really willing to take measures and who are opening up for the topic. And it's with the time that we're getting more and more experience and also getting more knowledge, and I see more choirs really catching up on the topic. But it's also it can be, or it is actually a very long process, and it is a process especially which is always not too easy when people are just working on a voluntary base. And actually, of course, what's their main activity, and it should be like that, is singing and doing their rehearsals and everything. So it is not easy actually to carry out this process, to walk along this process beside the usual rehearsal times and things. But I realized that there is ways, even though every choir has to look at their own conditions, their own surroundings, and the people that are being involved. It is, I found out what are easy steps to take, or I can offer them to at least start. And this is also, to me, super important to say. It's not about saying, I have a concept, and this is a concept I can put on my cupboard, and now everything is super fine. It's not about that. It's rather about taking measures and living them, and talking about communication, talking about the whole structure and what's important, the values, the goals of the choirs. And I realized in the different formats that we offer, it's getting more and more choirs really starting to do something. And this is my goal, my personal goal, to encourage choirs to say, even though there's not the time to go through all 9 steps very much in detail, you can pick something and you can just start, and you can just sit together in a group where, like, from every part, like a voluntary person, the conductor, a singer, the board, someone is being involved, and then you can check what's easy for us. What can we do in our next rehearsal or on our next rehearsal trip? For example, we also sometimes go to choir rehearsal trips, and then in the evening we playful, we talk to the children about empowerment and communicating boundaries. Or you can also set a repertoire around the topic of children's rights. So you can make it a topic, and some choirs really do. But also, of course, it's additional effort, and I'm very happy that I see more and more choirs really being willing to put this effort.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Henrike. Any other question or someone else? Yes,
I had a question for Henrike, that are you doing cooperation with other countries, federations or associations? I mean that how to spread out the ideas and to share it, because the subject is very, very important, and it's very interesting to have it more broadened up, not only in Germany.
Have you considered a European cooperation project?
It's really being super open. As I said, we have translated also this work aid, and just to limited resources, it's not yet on our platform, but it's being there. And also we're being very open to if there to also let it translate to other languages, or yeah, within our community there are also people working in countries we're sharing a border with, and whenever someone asks, of course, I'm super open to share the material. And we started. There was a first step when I introduced the topic last year on the membership weekend, and got in touch to some other representatives of different countries, and it will be great to share the idea, and to also, it's not yet structured or something, but yeah, we're being very open and sharing, because it's mainly about the interest of creating children choirs as safe spaces for every child equally.
Thank you, Henrike. Yes, and keep on good work, as this topic is really, really important. Yes. Yeah. Anyone else that would like to join our discussion? No? So I guess we are approaching to the end of our webinar, and now I'm going to pass my word to colleague in communications, Beatrice, so that you can share with us ways how you want to stay, how we can stay in touch. Yes, and I will try to screen share. So
Thank
that
you,
we have
Yoji.
some slides.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thanks for joining us today, and to our amazing speakers for the very interesting discussion. Yeah, so I kindly invite you now to stay in touch and follow us on social media so that you can be updated on all these projects that Sophie kindly described. And I'm happy also to provide all the other links in case you want to learn more about one project, and you can find it on the website. Just reach out to me and I will for sure provide everything you need. And yes, as you can see here, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, well, Twitter, we have to change it and just say it now, YouTube and LinkedIn. And I also kindly invite you to subscribe to the newsletter. Yoji, if we can go to the next slide, wherever, yes, here, you can just go to our website. You can find the newsletter section, the one before, Yoji, sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we are for sure publishing there everything you need to know about our projects on inclusion, but also about what's going on in general in the choral world and other events and opportunities that pop up. And yeah, exactly. Last but not least, please have a look to the campaign that also Sophie mentioned about the benefits of singing, and you can have a look on how many really benefits singing can bring on your social sphere, and not only. So you can find there many materials you can reshare with your network. And again, for anything else you might need to know, please just reach out, and we will be happy to help to find whatever you're looking for. And yeah, with this, I would like to thank you again all for joining us today, and I give the word again to Yoji.
Yes, thank you, Beatrice. I would just like to wrap up at the end and invite you to our next upcoming webinar on 23rd of November. It will focus on art of choral composition. Three well-known composers will share their ideas on how to create choral music for ensembles today. So this is a bit different opportunity to again be with us. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach us. We are here for you. And from our side, this is all for today. And I wish you all a wonderful rest of the evening, and goodbye.